The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100x. That's right, turn $5 into $500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SGP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code SGP. And finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, fair props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use the code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Wednesday, October the 11th, and we are here to have a look around the three playoff games which are going to take place this very day. Joining me, it's an OG special, Mr. Munaf Manji. Munaf, there goes a man who looks like he's been kept awake by a tired baby all night. Are you okay, son?
Yeah, the wife has a little stomach bug as well, so she was throwing up a couple times last night. But baby actually did pretty good last night. You only woke up once, so that was a bit of a relief. But no, it's been good. You know, the playoffs have been good. We have, like you mentioned, 3 games. I know we'll talk about the Rangers here in a second, but kind of something different for us, obviously, because the game starts early, Mal, that we get to record a little bit earlier than our usual time during the regular season. But I think you mentioned it offline before we started recording that it kind of gives us a little more time to dive a little deeper into maybe like some more stats between either the pitchers or the hitters, or the case might be. But excited to be here. 3 more games, and we're just chugging along, man.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've spoken to each other since we did the playoff preview show last Friday night when Lonte and Scott were on the show as well. So have you enjoyed the games? Because the wild cards really were just a little bit of a damp squib, weren't they? There were 3 sweeps, nothing. No, there was no lead changes. I think there was 2 lead changes in the 8 games, something like that. But it's starting to warm up a little bit, Munaf.
Yeah, I think the most exciting game thus far has been game 2 between the Phillies and the Braves. Like, for the Braves to come back being down 4-0 and possibly going down in a 0-2 hole in a best of 5, but their bats came alive, and then Michael Harris made an incredible double play to end the game for the Braves. So I think that's probably going to be the one series that's going to end up going 5 games. I know we'll talk about the Dodgers later, but now Dodgers have the monumental task of climbing out of an 0-2 hole against your Diamondbacks. So we'll see if they can get it done.
I like the fact that the Diamondbacks are now entirely in my possession. Yeah, I've been trying not to look Munaf, but the little cash out number on my Diamondbacks ticket's been creeping up. It's not at a number yet where I'm going to hit the button. I probably won't hit the button. It's a pizza bet. It's not changing my life. But I'd still like to be able to say, do you remember when I hit that 66-1 on the D-backs? But the number's creeping up there. It's about 6 times my stake now. So a 6-1 winner. Most days you'd love a 6-1 winner. But I'm not settling for that. I want the 66-1 winner. Like you said, I think we start, before we get into these games, we have a little look at Baltimore and Texas, which is now finished. So there were 4 games slated for tonight, but there's only 3 because Texas swept Baltimore. And really, we'll put a little line through Baltimore, Munaf, before we lay them to rest for the season. It's just disappointing because, firstly, what an unbelievable season they had, and you shouldn't lose sight of that. They win 101 games, where the projection was 70-something. They've brought to our viewing a lot of the brightest young players, or the players we've enjoyed watching most, in Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez and the pitching. But they did disappoint. I mean, they had one run on. It was 2 of the 3 games. They had 1 run on 6 hits, 2 runs on 5 hits. In the one game they did hit, they had 8 on 14. Then Texas outslugged them in that. And they weren't terrible. Bradish pitched well. But ultimately, I think our concerns were the pitching in the bullpen, and nothing really came together for them. So disappointing. I mean, that the AL Beast, which was the hot division coming in, went 0-7, gone. They are absolutely dead. What's your general feelings about Baltimore now we've seen the last of them?
I think this was a great learning you could say learning experience as well for the Orioles, just because it's a young group, right? I mean, we talk about some of the names that are on that team led by guys like Adley Rutschman. I talked about Gunnar Henderson, but I think I talked about this at the beginning of the season, and it turns out I was completely wrong about this team, but it mattered in the playoffs that I wasn't sold on their starting pitching. Their offense is going to be great for years to come just because they have the guys in the lineup, and also they lost Felix Bautista in that bullpen as well. So that put a damper on things for that bullpen as well. But I think something that they're going to have to address in the offseason going into next year is going to have to be getting quality starting pitching, because this team, they're on the map now. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with, not only in the American League East, but also in the American League itself. So I'm not taking anything away from the Baltimore Orioles, because this was a hugely successful season. Just because they did get swept in the divisional round, I mean, doesn't mean that the season was a failure, especially like you mentioned, for a team that had expectations of only winning 78, 79, 80 games this season, and for them to go out and win 100 games and be the number 1 seed in the American League. I think that kind of speaks volumes. So I think that if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan, or if you're a player of the Baltimore Orioles, I know the ultimate goal at the end of the season is to win the World Series title, but I think this was a successful season for them, and it's only a learning and a step up in the right direction. So they're going to be back next season in full force. But I do think that, number one, they are going to have to address the bullpen and the starting pitching. But I mean, look, give credit to the Rangers. Their offense has been one of the best, not only in the American League, but also in the entire MLB this season, and that came into fruition. Not only against the Rays, but also in this series against the Orioles, right? Because, I mean, they got timely hits. They were able to score with runners in scoring position, and that's what really differentiates winning and losing, especially in the playoffs. So give credit to the Rangers. They've taken care of business in the first 5 games, and now they wait the winner of the Minnesota Twins and the Houston Astros for an opportunity to go play in the World Series.
The most disappointing thing for me, and we called this at the time, actually, Munaf, we don't get much right, or me, sorry, was the trade deadline. We said, go and get some pitching. And they got Jack Flaherty, and we all just went, he's all right. And that was it. And it came to pass. He wasn't great down the stretch. The fact that he wasn't a starter in one of these games tells you where he is in the pecking order. I saw him come out of the bullpen in game 2, maybe. They're throwing Dean Kramer last night, which just tells you where Flaherty slotted in. And it didn't take much, because there were pitchers available. We saw pitching movement. And if they'd just done a little bit more, like I said, they were maybe 1 starter shy, 2 starters shy, or in a bullpen arm. They could. I think if they had the time back, they'd maybe do things a little bit differently. Just on Texas, Munaf, they've hit the stride at the right time. The bats are hot. That's pretty much all you need to know.
Yeah. There was a stretch during the regular season where the bats had really cooled off, but they've picked it up obviously at the very right time. And again, we know that lineup is very deep, right? Led by Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia, Marcus Semien. I mean, they have bats in that lineup, especially they're very, very top heavy guys that can not only hit for power, but hit for average as well. And it's worked out very well for them through the first 5 games of the playoffs, where they haven't lost a single game yet. So whether they face the Twins or whether it's the Astros, I think that they will be facing better pitching competition than they have in the first 5 games of the playoffs here. But yeah, give all the credit to Bruce Bochy and the Texas Rangers. They've taken care of business. Now they wait who their opponent is going to be for the championship series in the American League.
Nice to see some early morning faces in the chat. Trev was first in, as ever. Michael, Daryl here as well. So hello, everybody. If you've got any winners, chuck them in. Daryl likes the overs in the Dodgers game. We'll get to that in a little while. So, yeah, 3 games, and I have enjoyed handicapping these. We'll get stuck into them once I tell you about Underdog Fantasy first up. Great way of playing alongside your favourite football team all season long. Underdog just introduced Scorchers, so go 5 for 5 in Pick'em Scorchers. Enjoy a spicy 100x payout. And for a limited time, Underdog extending the first deposit bonus up to $500 again. So great time to get involved. $100,000 Sunday is continuing. 10 lucky players get 10 grand each. I haven't got a play for this week yet. I don't want to labour the point, Munaf, but that Christian McCaffrey prop that you shook your head at 17 times last week cashed very comfortably. Watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. And this has taken me by surprise because I hadn't read these. Manscaped is back. I've had issues with this in the past. Manscaped have taken a step from what's Halloween, I understand now, to bring your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. So no toilet trouble this season. Manscaped and the new Handyman is the new way to get rid of all that stubble, featuring a compact design, next-gen skin-safe technology. The Handyman is designed to give you a smooth finish without the mess of a traditional shave. So get the sweetest treat this Halloween, by going to manscaped.com. Use the code SGP for 20% off. So your Halloween costumes might take a bit of an effort, but your beard grooming, Munaf, take note, doesn't need to, when you can get 20 different beard lengths in just one guard. The Beard Hedger is a high-tech piece of art in a travel-size package, long-lasting battery, universal charging. The thing to do here to get involved is get 20% off and free shipping with the code SGP at manscaped.com. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code SGP for a look as sweet as candy. Get yourself the Handyman from Manscaped. Okay, first up tonight, the early game is a 7 minutes past 10, my time. That's 7 minutes past 5 Eastern time. First pitch between the Atlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm now saying, we discussed this, about 5 minutes ago. In Atlanta were TBD, but I'm seeing Bryce Elder confirmed.
Yeah.
But this does look like a kind of a hybrid opener, bullpen, piggyback, whatever you want to call it, situation. Between Bryce Elder's going to go first, but A.J. Smith-Shawver is going to be very much on standby, and then the rest of the bullpen. And so they're just going to throw the kitchen sink at this. Aaron Nola for the Philadelphia Phillies. The lines are plus 105 for Atlanta and minus 120 for Philly. And the total sits at 9. So Atlanta looked pretty dead in the water at one point on Monday. They'd gone 14 innings. They just sleepwalked through 14 innings of playoff baseball. And then suddenly sprung to life, got the win, and it's game back on again. Bryce Elder, we've really been waiting for him to unravel the last couple of months. We knew at the start of the season that his numbers were good, but his metrics weren't. And then, sure enough, this unravel did come. It was one of those, some people continue to confound the numbers. Elder didn't. Elder really did regress to his mean. He's not been great at all. Smith-Shawver is hard to analyse. He only started 5 games. It was 2 decent, 2 average, and 1 bad. Gave up a little bit of everything. I think we can expect Philly runs here is basically the bottom of that. Aaron Nola wasn't spectacular in the regular season. 12-9, 4.46 ERA. Has been much better at home. 7-3 with a 3.04. There's lots of good ticks in boxes here for Nola. I mean, he had a great start against Miami in the wild card round. Obviously, Miami aren't Atlanta. 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs. He saw Atlanta on the 20th of September, where he pitched 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, no homers, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Something like that might be good enough here. I mean, he's been great generally in the postseason, 6 appearances with a 3.86 ERA. And if you remember, Munaf, this game 3 last year was they won 9-1. Nola pitched the game, went 6 innings deep, pitched really, really well. And that was one of the catalysts behind Philadelphia getting in front and going on to win the series. So they out-hit the Braves in both games here. The second game, the game that Atlanta won, Philly out-hit them 9-4. Really, it was a couple of fielding errors that cost them the game. So my reading of this, Philly at home, we've said before, maybe the most intimidating / best atmosphere in baseball. They're going to be unruffled. They've got clutch players. We talked about Trey Turner last time, that double play made. They did it last year. They've been here before. And this Atlanta pitching is a major problem for me. I think Philly to win the game at -120 is an excellent price. And I've got the Philly team total, Munaf, just a little ladder here. The line's at 4.5, which you can get at -111. And 5.5 is +170. And over 6.5, if you're feeling a bit fruity, is +285. But the main players would be Philly on the money line, Philly team total over 4.5, and you can go up from there if you like.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue, I guess, overall success that Aaron Nola has had in his career against the Atlanta Braves. I mean, if you want to talk about his entire career, he has a 15-10 record with a sub 3.5 ERA in 33 appearances in his career. Now, this goes all the way back to 2015, so maybe not relevant, but I'll trim this down to since 2022, 8 appearances, 3-2 record with a 3.61 ERA. He had a couple starts last season where he did allow 4 earned runs, 5 earned runs, and 4 earned runs. But other than that, he's been pretty solid against his Braves team. And he faced him 3 times this season. And in those games, Aaron Nola was, let's see here, didn't record a win. He had 1 start where he did allow 5 earned runs in Atlanta, but the other 2 games combined to go 12 innings and only allowed 2 earned runs in those games. I mean, you mentioned Bryce Elder. I think if you look at his splits, Mal, that he's a very great pitcher or a good pitcher at home in Atlanta, where he has a 7-1 record with a 3.61 ERA. On the road, he does have a winning record at 5-3, but that ERA does go up to 4.50 on the road. So, and again, he stumbled down the stretch for the Atlanta Braves as well. He allowed 9 walks in the final 2 starts. 1 start, which was against his Phillies team, only lasted 3 2/3 inning in that game, allowed 4 earned runs, give up 2 home runs in that game as well. So I will lean to the Philly side here. I think it will be a quick hook for Bryce Elder if he is in some type of trouble within those first couple innings, because like you mentioned, it seems like it's type of a hybrid, type of day for the Atlanta Braves. I like the angle on the Phillies team total over, just because they've gotten out in the first 2 games and they've been able to score at least 4 runs in those first 2 games at minimum. But I like the team total over in this game for the Phillies. I'm leaning towards a full game over as well. I think maybe the Atlanta Braves bats were able to find something in that game 2 towards the end of the game, because like you mentioned, the first 14 innings, they were getting absolutely blanketed. And Austin Riley had the home run. Travis d'Arnaud had the home run as well. So I think we might see some runs being scored in this game. I'll take the over 9, and I'll lean with the Phillies on the money line here at -122.
In terms of the series, Munaf, Atlanta -135, Philly +115. I mean, gun to your head, you'd back Philly, wouldn't you, I think?
I think so. There's just something about this Phillies team that they kind of just have that it factor as well, right? But I think the starting pitching is definitely better for the Atlanta Braves as well. When we talk about what Zach Wheeler was able to do in game 2, this is a huge start for Aaron Nola, and historically he's been better against the Atlanta Braves than not in his career. So I think that value is definitely there on the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, when we talk about the Atlanta Braves, it's that tax that you're kind of paying, right? We talked about like that Dodgers tax during the regular season, the Yankees tax. I think you're just paying that tax because the Braves won 104 games during the regular season. So this Phillies team, they're frisky. They don't give up. I think they're going to bounce back here tonight as well. And again, I don't think anybody would be shocked if the Phillies did go on to win this series.
The next game off here was 7:07 Eastern time. And this is a game 4. This is the ALDS game 4. Houston Astros at the Minnesota Twins. In terms of the series, Houston now lead 2-1 and are minus 357. Minnesota plus 275. When myself and Dylan did the show on Monday, all the odds had flipped. All the favourites were now underdogs. And now 2 days later, we're all back the other way. Atlanta are favourites again. And Houston are now heavy favourites. I think Minnesota will be disappointed to have passed up a home game opportunity with Sonny Gray on the mound. But the Astros' experience has stepped up. Altuve, Jordan, Abreu, Michael Brantley getting involved last night. This game tonight, Houston are plus 105 with Jose Urquidy on the mound. Minnesota minus 120 with Joe Ryan. And the total is set at 8. Munaf, lead us off with this one.
Yeah, I'll start with the home pitcher here, Joe Ryan, on the season 11-10 with a 4.51 ERA. At home, he was 7-4 with a 3.83 ERA, but he faced his Astros team twice during the regular season, and he got absolutely blown up in those 2 games. In his career, I'll go back to that. Last season, he did have a start against his Astros team. So 3 career appearances, including 2 this season, 1-2 with an 8.36 ERA. He's allowed at least 4 earned runs in every single one of those starts. The 2 starts this season, one was back on April 8th, where the Twins did get the 9-6 victory. I believe in that game, Luis Garcia was on the mound for the Astros, who's not going to be available for this playoff run for the Astros. And then he also made a start, did Joe Ryan, against the Astros in Houston back on May 30th, where he allowed 5 earned runs, and the Astros did go on to win that game 5-1. We've talked a lot about when we were talking about, or me and Scott did the other day, that this Astros team, for whatever reason, is just playing better on the road this season. I mean, they had a losing record at home this season, which is kind of crazy to think, but they've been playing good baseball. And like you mentioned, Yordan Alvarez is just hitting the cover off of the ball. The fact that they still keep pitching to him kind of tells you where this Minnesota and some of the decisions that they're making.
Pretty sure we had this exact conversation last year as well. Just stop.
Yeah, stop pitching to him, because again, it's either a double at minimum or it's going over the fence. Like, there's no in between for Yordan, especially in the playoffs. So, Jose Urquidy, again, he's going to be a spot starter here. He does have some playoff experience for the Astros. Going back all the way to 2017. I'm trying to pull up his playoff records here, but I know historically he has been pretty good. So 12 appearances in the playoffs. This goes all the way back to 2019. 3-2 with a 3.72 ERA, 36 strikeouts. So not a huge strikeout guy, but he does get the job done when you throw him out there, whether he's going to go 4 innings or whether he's going to go 5 innings for this Astros team. So all in all, Mal, I got to go back to the Astros. I mean, if you're giving me a plus price, even if it's at plus 105 with this Astros team, I just think that the offense it's just too much for this Twins team, because we talked about this when we did the divisional round preview, is that if the Astros magic number is that they score 5 runs, I think the Twins just have a very hard time trying to score 5 runs because of this offense. Only Carlos Correa has really been that guy offensively for this team. I know Royce Lewis had the 2 home runs in game 1 against the Toronto Blue Jays, but outside of that, it's pretty much been a Carlos Correa, and that's it. So, and again, when we talk about this Astros lineup, like 1-5, 1-6, 1-7, it's a very deep lineup. Even Jose Abreu had a great game last night, who has been struggling during the regular season. So I'm going to stack the Astros in every which way again. Astros first 5 money line, Astros full game money line, and Astros team total over 3.5 in this game. Looking for them to close out the series and punch their ticket to the American League Championship Series.
Yeah, you hit the biggest concern for me, Munaf, which is the Minnesota offense. Now, games 1 and 2, they had 9 hits and 10 hits, which is about standard for them. It's not great. Then last night, they were back down to 3. And the Twins can do that to you, and they can't come out and do that again. That would be my concern. Urquidy's kind of building up from injury. His numbers aren't great, but his last 2 starts have been much, much better. 6 innings scoreless at Arizona. He had a really good start against Minnesota earlier in the year, 5 1/3. Only gave up 7 hits and 1 earned run. He's not striking anybody out. You mentioned that, Munaf, and that leads to my first play here. My first play is going to be the under 3.5 strikeouts for Urquidy. A couple of times I've given out pitcher out props so far, and I've got them wrong. I've given out overs. I've given out a couple of overs. Bobby Miller was one. Can't remember who the others were. Pitcher's on a very, very short leash. So he doesn't strike out anyone anyway. But if the two options, he's going to go shorter rather than longer. So I think under 3.5 is a good number. Joe Ryan hasn't appeared yet in the postseason, but he wasn't in great form. 5.28 September ERA. Was slightly inflated by a start at Colorado, which is fair enough. He faced Houston twice this year. One was bad, and one was really, really bad. I've got Kent Maeda sniffing around. If Ryan gets into trouble, and also Louis Varland, who we've talked about a lot. I can only see runs here, Munaf, on both sides. I don't really trust Keedy or Ryan. My play gives us a couple of options here, because if only one team score all the runs, I'll be quite happy with that as well. I've got a first 5 run line, Munaf, of over 4.5, which is a price of -105. And I've got a first 3 innings line of over 2.5, which is a price of -116. I think we can get over 2.5 in those first 3 innings. And the full game total of 8 as well. So yeah, take over after 3, over after 5, over after 9 is going to be my reading of that one. Trev is pointing up the K's do like a strikeout. He's absolutely right. But yeah, we get 3 2/3, 3 strikeouts. We cash that bet, Trev, no problem. One game to get to after we talk about Hall of Fame bets. Winning bigger by betting smarter this NFL season. Do that with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. You can put any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as things like expected probabilities for your parlay. You can sort players by hit rates, and you can learn which players are hot, where the best value is. So stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Okay, finally, tonight is is that 9:07 Eastern time? I've lost my times again, Munaf. Since I've had it nailed out all season. 2:07 in the morning for me, which is 9:07 Eastern time. The LA Dodgers at the Diamondbacks. For the series, those pesky Diamondbacks are -625 now. Dodgers +450. Tonight we have Brandon Pfaadt, who is +125 for the D-backs. Lance Lynn at -147. Have we gone mad? And the total is set at 9.5. Yeah, I mean, Lance Lynn at -147. I don't get it, Munaf. He's got a 5.34 ERA. He wasn't terrible through September. I give him that. 5 or 6 innings pitched, 3 earned run max was okay. My first play is Lance Lynn play, and it's over 1.5 walks. That would have cashed 6 in a row, Munaf. It's a little bit juicy. It's juiced to -131, but it's still it's a better bet than a -147 on the Dodgers outright. It's a better price and a much more likely probability, I think. The reason that price is because it's the Dodgers and because it's Brandon Pfaadt. Now, I handicapped him quite favourably in Game 1 against the Brewers. He actually got a little bit lucky. He wasn't great. He got away with some stuff early. I think there was maybe a bases loaded situation early. And they did end up 2 or 3 down before the D-backs came out swinging. He is capable of throwing in the odd good game. There was a game against the Dodgers. There was a game against the Padres. And somebody else down the stretch where he went 7 scoreless. So he can flash. Even if he doesn't, though, the Arizona bullpen has been rested. There's been these days off, which doesn't half affect how a weaker squad can compete. Because you don't need a full rotation and you don't need a deep bullpen. You can get away with it. And Arizona took advantage of that a little bit. They've had some rest days. I mean, they threw on Monday night. It was all the players we've talked about. Sal Frank. And then we've not mentioned all season. He's been great. Seymour, Gingle, people like that. And they're 2-0 up. They can just go for it. They can just throw the kitchen sink at the Dodgers here. nothing's changed since we handicapped this. I took Arizona at 2-1 for the series. So I don't really need to make a play on the side here. I've got me D-backs World Series ticket. And I'm just still not in love with this Dodgers lineup at all. They're hitting 159 for a start. And I said with Dylan the other night, what, Jason Hayward, David Peralta in the outfield. Outman we like, is okay. It sounds like a Pittsburgh Pirates lineup. Like if you threw Andrew McCutcheon in, you'd think, oh, that's reasonable. This is the Dodgers playoff lineup. In the circumstances, I'm happy to take Lynn on and go with Arizona at plus 125. But I do really like the Lance Lynn walk prop over 1.5, Munaf.
Yeah, it's difficult to back Lance Lynn at a minus price, but I think we understand why he is a minus price because of the name on the front of his jersey, not the name on the back of his jersey. So, and also Brandon Pfaadt hasn't been very good against the Dodgers this season either. So I kind of understand where this line is at. So just to put into context, Brandon Pfaadt had 2 starts against the Dodgers this season. Both were in August. He allowed a combined 9 earned runs in 8 2/3 innings pitched. He didn't make it to the 5th inning in either one of those starts. So I think my more favorite play in this game is going to be the Dodgers' first 5 team total over 2.5 runs. We saw what Brandon Pfaadt also did in the first playoff game against the Milwaukee Brewers of all teams, who we know aren't a very good offense. He only lasted 2 2/3 inning in that game, allowed 7 hits and 3 earned runs to the Milwaukee Brewers. I know Diamondbacks came back in that game and won that game 6-3. So I think that if the Dodgers are going to have a chance in this game, it's going to have to be early with their bat. So over 2.5 runs in the first 5 innings for the Dodgers. I love that play. I think this might be a game where we do see runs being put up also because you mentioned the walks with Lance Lynn. He's allowed at least 2 walks in 6 straight starts to end the season. I'm not confident in his ability, especially on the road. But I think this might be a game where, again, for the Diamondbacks, we've seen it multiple times, Mal, that they come out early and often and come at least in the first 2 games, I should say, in this Dodgers series, they scored 9 runs within those first in the first inning alone, right? They scored 6 in game 1 against Kershaw. They scored 3 in game 2 against Bobby Miller. So I think this is an opportunity in this game where we do see runs being put up both by Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. I'm going to lean with the Dodgers side. I'm going to take them on the run line because I think if they do win this game, it'll be by multiple runs. So I'm not in love with it just because, again, it is Lance Lynn and I have to put my faith in Lance Lynn. But my more favorite play is going to be the Dodgers' first 5 team total over 2.5. I don't hate the full game either at over 5.5, but I do think that we do see runs, and I think that the Dodgers will be able to get the Brandon Pfaadt in this game.
Honestly, I've loved how the Diamondbacks have approached the games because all things being equal, you would suggest the Dodgers would beat them more. So the D-backs said, right, what can we do to maximize our chances? And they've done it. They've had a plan. And even if it goes wrong, at least they've tried something. They've had a strategy. As it happens, it's worked beautifully. They came out very aggressively. They swung early and often. They've attacked on the base paths. We knew we'd do things like that. They've done the things. It's a little bit small ball, but equally, like you say, it was a good aggression. Like the Dodgers, 20 minutes into that first game, was shell-shocked. Yeah. Just because, I mean, Corbin Carroll could have been forgiven for coming out in his first postseason at bat and having a look around Dodger Stadium and just going down looking. No, I mean, they're not going to die wondering at all, the Diamondbacks. No one was going down looking. They took them on. And win or lose, I really enjoyed what they've attempted here, put you in the game. So, yeah, I think we're done. Moving off. Picks made. 3 games handicap picks made. Anything else you want to get to?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I don't know if you want to give out like a best bet or something or a lock in the dog. I don't know.
Best bet, D-backs to win the World Series. Moving off. Does that count?
That's already in your pocket. We can't get that price anymore.
It's got to be the under 3.5 strikeouts, Munaf, for Jose Urquidy. Like I say, we're going to get you go 4 1/3. Write this down: 4 1/3, 3 strikeouts. That is going to be the answer. We'll cash that under 3.5 Ks.
All right. I'm going to go with the Astros on the money line, especially at a plus price. I think that again, if they score 4 or 5 runs in this game, I think it's going to be very tough for the Twins to, score that many runs. I mean, they haven't done it at all in this series. I think they did it in game 2 against the Astros, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, we saw what they did against the Toronto Blue Jays. Not a lot of runs being scored there. They only mustered up 1 run in game 3 against the Astros. And then in game 1, I believe they put up 4 runs. So I think that, again, if the Astros are able to get 5 or 6 runs, I think that might just be the wrap for the Twins. I know they scored 9 they scored 6 in game 2, but I think more often than not, we're not used to seeing the Twins scoring that many runs. So Astros money line for me, and then I'll take the Dodgers first 5 team total over 2.5 in that game as the 2 best bets that I do like for the Wednesday card here, Mel.
Just to pick your brain, Munaf, what's a Houston, Texas ALCS going to look like in terms of in this, we would call that a local derby because you're right on top of each other. You're probably about 9 hours and 5,000 miles apart. So it's probably not that local, is it?
No, actually, we're only about, I would say, 4 to 5 hours apart.
See, that's our entire country, though.
Yeah, that's your entire country.
Everybody, north to south, east to west, everyone is within 5 hours of each other.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're the same.
Would it be more of a big deal than normal than any other opponent?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah,
because we're in the same state as well.
That's what I was getting at. But like I say,
same state, same division, and it's always been like the Astros have been the big brother. And it's like a big brother, little brother situation. But if the Astros get it done, it's or at least in game 4 here tonight, and then we get to talk about Rangers and Astros. I think that's definitely be something that not only I think casual baseball fans will be excited for, but I know local fans here in Texas will be excited for as well, because I think that would be the first time ever that these 2 teams have faced off, at least in the championship series, looking for an opportunity to get to the World Series.
1 game away from a Lone Star series, maybe that's exciting. Yes, okay. Do you get to go and have a little nap now?
Yeah, I got to do some stuff for the website. I got to do the ref report, and then we're doing the Thursday night football player props later on around 3 Eastern. So if you want to shift your focus to NFL, we'll do the propcast live with myself, Chris, and Rod for the Thursday night football game between the Broncos and the Chiefs.
You took a little bite out of me, Munaf, in the NFL pick'em this week. You just crept a little bit closer. I can hear the footsteps. I can see Munaf picking up behind me. The Premier League show will be recording later on. It's international break, unfortunately, but we've got Euro qualifiers and we've got EFL picks with myself and Barry. So keep an eye out for that wherever you consume your football picks. Barry is absolutely on fire and really good at the international stuff. So there might just be some fancy price winners in there. Thanks, Munaf. That was fun. During the day, I'm going to go and take Bob to football. Thanks, most of the people who got involved in the chat. Keep your eyes peeled because we'll be around at this time quite a lot during the playoffs. Enjoy my little smiling face in the sunshine coming through the window. Look. Thanks, everyone. Good luck with these bets tonight. Really looking forward to it. 3 great games. I'm hoping to wake up to a couple of winners. We will see you down the road. Cheers.